Like that, if you push that out to every single possible scenario in terms of marketing, sales, operations, governance, compliance in your company, mate, you are not going to survive. You are just not going to survive. I don't know how that's even possible. Hey, Lawrence here. Another Quick Take Business Beats episode. Today, the topic of this episode, Quick Take, is businesses who move slow will die. So we're talking about businesses of all sizes, shapes and sizes, startups, mid-tier, large international billion-dollar corporates, right? That topic, that subject matter is pursuant to every single business on the planet. Businesses are moving very fast right now. Innovation and technology is fueling it. And businesses who adopt it and innovate are going to get ahead of the game. Their competitors will go out of business, and it's going to happen very quickly. So we've been talking about that in my company and how we roll and how we operate. Because what we're finding is that we are starting to speed up a little bit. Like, we have a pretty entrepreneurial culture in our company, but I think we still need to be faster. I just don't think we're moving fast enough. A couple of tolerances around that, which I think cause a bit of a problem and shake a company a little bit too much, which I want to get into as well. I want to wind back a little bit. In 2006, there's a gentleman by the name of Ray Kurzweil who wrote a book which is called The Singularity is Near. Okay, so Ray Kurzweil was released in 2006, I think. If I got that wrong, I apologize, Ray. And it was called The Singularity is Now. He had a couple of predictions in there. By the way, he's been pretty good at predicting things. But I think he said in 2029, AI and technology, when it's merged, will be smarter than human beings. I think he's on point. I really do. I think everything is going to change between now and then. And it's going to be rapid, it's going to be fast, and it's going to be expansive, right, across the planet. His second prediction, this is just a couple of he's got a timeline of predictions. This is just another one which really jumped off the page at me. In 2045, AI and technology together will have surpassed all of humanity. There was a chilling line in the book. I think he said in 2045, you'll be able to buy a computer, which will probably be in one of these things and be very small, for $1,000, which will be smarter than humanity. Smarter than humanity. What he means is a computer that's smarter than all of the humans on the planet combined. So 7 billion, 7.5 billion, 8 billion minds. You get one device for $1,000 that will be smarter than all of them put together. That's when things change. And the singularity rolls out to a few different types of definitions. It's when your technology is moving so fast you're unable to predict it, and when it's just moved so fast past humanity that we can't control it. Scary, right? This is what Elon Musk goes on about. And he's been an advocate for we really need to control it, and we need to wrap some legislation around it, some rules and some terms, right? Some T's and C's around AI, because it is moving pretty quick. Anyway, back to the topic. So businesses who move slow will die. So I normally talk about things that are happening now in our companies. So I have a range of companies, and when we look at the market, we're trying to do two things. We're trying to dominate the market and deliver a service that has a lot of contribution value. So if we want to do that, yes, we need to make money, we need to generate positive revenue and hire good staff. But here's the one thing we really need to do now, is we need to diversify and innovate. So for me, diversification means we need to look at what the market's doing and be better than them. And I do a lot of research on the market, so I look at competitors. Competitors don't really drive what types of decisions we make in the company, but we just do look at it and we want to know what they're doing. We're pretty innovative, so we free think, and normally we find our competitors will copy us. We certainly don't copy them. They look at our advertising, what we're doing, how we do it, and they try to emulate that. They don't normally get it right because they don't have the IP, right? But what I'm saying is when we're looking at our competitors, none of them are moving in the space we're moving in right now. Some of them are, but a very small percentage. So let's say if there were 1,000 providers, 10% of us are moving fast. When you start to compound between the 10% who are moving fast and the 90% moving slow, over time, that moving slow starts to compound. It's like money, right? And what happens is when you're 10 years behind it, in terms of the front runners, is actually probably 30. So it's really hard to keep up with the top runners, those guys who are running in the top 10%. we're going to be in the top 10%, 100%, because we made a conscious decision we're going to do that. And if we don't think we're going to be able to grow to the level that we want to grow. So if we want to build a $100 million company, and we do want to build a $100 million company, do you want to get there in 100 years or do you want to get there in 10? We want to get there in 10. That's the answer, by the way. It's a much better way to do it. And we have to use technology to do that. So you have to embrace it. You've got to get it in your business. If you don't know how to do that, find someone who does and just execute against it. Like execution is everything, right? So there's businesses that are out there saying, we've always done it this way. And they're cumbersome and they don't know how to move around the market, right? They're just so slow. Even when you talk to them, hey, send me a fax. You go, what? What's a fax machine? What? A bit of a joke there, tongue in cheek, but it's actually sort of true, right? I know that lawyers, I had to sign some documents for a lease for our office, and I had to post it to them. After 2 weeks, right, of a document being signed and going back to the lawyers, they send me an email a week later, so now we're 3 weeks, and they've lost it. So what do? I say, you sure? So I go to the receptionist who delivered it. She went to the post office just to check, has it been returned? Maybe we've received it back and we didn't know. There's 3 or 4, 6, half a dozen conversations. And then they send me an email and they say, hey, we actually found it. It was sitting under some papers on someone else's desk. So it didn't even end up on the right desk. Like that, if you push that out to every single possible scenario in terms of marketing, sales, operations, governance, compliance in your company, mate, you are not going to survive. You are just not going to survive. I don't know how that's even possible, because it's just the mindset around that and having to do that. And here's what they say, we've always done it this way. The most dangerous phrase in business. We've always done it this way. Well, so what sort of response is that? That means that you're not innovating and thinking outside the box. You are the box, and the box will always be the box. Don't be the box. Like, you want to get outside of that. So these people, these businesses and these industries are really locked down, right? So businesses who move slow are going to die. So this app is about just trying to unlock that. Okay, what can my business do to move forward and move forward fastly? Here's a goal. How could we improve the business from a technical perspective and from an operational perspective this year? There's still 3 calendar quarters of this year. You can do a lot in that time. You can do a lot in 1 quarter. But if you write it down and make it part of a charter or goal, and you're responsible as a business owner, CEO, a founder, or whoever you may be, even a manager, or just anybody in the company, you should push and drive for that. So I'm going to underline the word drive. If you don't drive it, it won't happen. If you don't drive it, it won't happen. It has to be driven, because it's not going to happen on its own. One day you're going to walk in and you're going to see sales start to crash into the ground, and you're not going to know how to keep up with it because you haven't innovated marketing. You're not watching your spend, you're not running the right reports, you're not looking at the right information, you're not using the right technology. It's taken too long to build your ads, write copy, and do all that sort of stuff, while the other guy is doing it in 20% of the time it takes you to do it. So they get to the market faster, it's more cost effective for them, they get to more people, and they get to more people faster than you ever will. So, marketing's a big thing. Sales, huge impact on sales, huge impact on marketing, and huge impact on operations. Those are the 3 things we're focusing on right now. So this is something we're doing in our business right now. We're talking about it all the time. I'm creating a culture around it, right? So technology and data is king. Technology and data is king. It used to be money. That's still pretty important. But I think technology and data is king right now. And I think finances and revenue generation sit behind that. Things are changing. And they're changing rapidly. And if you're not up to speed within at least the next 3 years, you're going to be in trouble. That would be my take on it. Big statement? I don't think so. I just think you'll be in trouble. But here's the thing: if you think that's the wrong statement, cool. Switch this off and go and post some flyers to your market. Or you could do this. You could just do it anyway, because you'll still be ahead of the game even if you don't believe it. Even if there's someone who's a champion of technology and innovation in your company, it doesn't have to be the founder. It could be anybody. You could hire someone to do that if you can afford it. I'm going to wrap some context around what we do with it, right? If you consider that element of the singularity. If I said to myself, in 2029, everything is going to change, we don't have much time. We have, 5, 6 years, 6 years. That is not a long time. So I have to get the business prepared for the infrastructure on that. And here's what normally happens with technology. People pivot and lean into the easiest possible thing. It's because human beings, in most cases, are pretty lazy. They go, oh, what's the easiest and closest thing to us? We'll just do that. And then they feel okay about it, and then what happens is they don't get any longevity on it. Longevity will win the race. So you have to have a strategy. You've got to write that. What does that look like for your business in terms of technology, right? So you have to move fast, and then you have to hold everyone in the business accountable to it. I'm going to wrap a whole bunch of stuff around culture around this because I think that's the most dangerous element. Because using technology and innovating is great. Well, I personally think so. But here's what it actually does to a business. If you don't know how to control it and you just run too fast into it, you're going to make too many mistakes, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. A lot. We've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars last year on doing that, and we're not going to do that this year. So we're going to go quite methodically, and we're going to think about how we pitch and catch and move and pivot around that technology innovation stuff this year and next year, or well, for the next 3 years is what the strategy. And we're going to change that strategy all the time, by the way, because as you innovate, things change, right? So certainly don't forget to do that. But back to the culture part. So in my mind, culture it will have the most negative effect on culture when you innovate and bring technology into the business rapidly. The market's saying you've got to be fast. When you do it inside a company, the culture changes, and it changes pretty quickly. And what happens is if you've been running quite a steady company as it's just been doing this, when you start to do that, everybody in the company shakes. Everyone. Senior managers, middle managers, and just staff in general, they all start to freak out, and it starts to hit the culture of the business. So you've got to really be on point with that. Because here's one thing that I know is, and this is not for everything, this is quite an old saying, but people fear change. Remember that saying? Now, your parents probably said it to you. If you're 150 years old like me, your grandparents and your parents would say to you, people fear change. People fear change, Lawrence. Don't shake things up too much. Just stay under the radar. Those types of statements were said to me by my parents, right? Things are different now. It's not like that anymore. The future of humanity is different now. And it's rapidly moving so fast we can't keep up with it. So culture. Whew, it's a big one. So how do you wrap culture management around innovation and technology? That's moving very, very fast. Be aware of it. Just be aware of it and talk about it all the time. Like that's what I do. I talk about it. So when we're going to roll some new technology out, like we're doing it right now, we're using AI in the business. We're rolling out our live chat functions, which will move into advertising this month. So we're using GPT in the business, 3.5 and 4 for different types of things. And we're going to start to use that to speak to our customers, right? So we'll use voice automated technologies later in the year or early next year, but we'll spend 6 months researching and putting those types of projects together. So when people hear that, they start to shake a little bit, right? So just be conscious of the culture, keep those people on point, talk about it openly, and then everyone knows, and talk about how it's going to benefit the company and them personally. Otherwise, people are just going to go, oh man, this is just too much for me, I can't handle it, So just be really careful when you're moving really, really fast, because you just sort of have to. That's the nature of this episode. If you don't move fast now, you might miss out. Especially if you're in a market that's already got a lot of competitors in it now and they're doing it, you will go out of business. You will just go out of business. Don't think that you won't. You don't want that Kodak moment. Remember Kodak? You young kids won't remember Kodak. Where they didn't jump to digital, right? Because they thought that wasn't going to happen. And very, very quickly, those old school wind and click cameras went out of business overnight. And they're one of the biggest companies on the planet at the time. I think that might have been in the early 90s, I can't remember, don't quote me on that. But so it's a Kodak moment, right? So you've really got to get it done. And I can't stress that, it's just so important right now in the current business landscape. And not just in the country that you reside in, but across the planet, everything is about to change. Everything is about to change in commercial business. The big sectors like the medical, and I understand that they're going to be a little bit behind. They're probably going to be okay on the basis of where their funding and money comes from, which is government orientated. Governments are going to fall behind. They're going to start to shake a lot, and people are going to move out of the government sector and go into the private sector. Why? Because it's just cooler and it's more exciting. So people are going to see security in this. Like when the internet was first born, it created all these new types of companies, and all these people like engineers and everyone wanted to go and work for those companies. This is going to be the same thing. So you're going to see, in my prediction, a mass exodus of people working in those type of government-orientated, boring jobs, and the new generation coming through aren't going to want to do that. They're going to work in the nice, cool sector with technology and innovation. Why? Because that is going to dominate the planet. It's going to be on every newscast, podcast, interview. People are going to talk about it. Technology teams inside corporations are not going to be systems administrators anymore. You'll still have those guys, but they're going to be more tech-orientated innovators and engineers, looking at coding, using AI, how they incorporate into current systems. So the landscape of corporations is going to change as well. My suggestion is get on it now. Don't wait, do it now. Because if you don't, I think you're going to be in trouble. I truly believe that. So I'm pretty passionate about that message, and I'm talking to a lot of people about it. And spreading that word that I think that even if you're a small business turning over 250,000 a year, or you're doing 250 million. If you're a big company, if you're a $250 million company, don't think that you're safe. I don't even think that's enough. I think if you're like a BlackRock, you know, and you're multi-billion, you're probably going to be okay. Like you could ride through that, right? It's like a ship going through ice, no problem at all. But if you're not at that level, you're in trouble. That's what I think. Look, hey, appreciate you watching this episode. Look, we're a non-profit venture. If you want to help us out, you know, please, all we do is ask, subscribe. We're trying to get some good messages out there, and we've got some great interviews coming up this year. Also hit the bell so you can get those notifications for when we're releasing the next episode or the next interview. Again, appreciate your time. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Cheers.